Hello, everybody. My name is Mike Morrison, and I work with Woodard Curran Engineering Company as a senior designer there. And I just wanted to go over a big grading plan. It's pretty ominous looking. There's a very large area here that they kind of have outlined that you could tell they graded in a couple of big detention ponds, a big flat pad up here, and this big slope down here, and here's another big flat area, and they have a road coming in here. All kinds of stuff going on in here. And the intent is to push all of this back down and kind of grade it back out, back to kind of what it would be originally before this is all constructed. But the kicker is that it has to be cut and fill balanced. In other words, they're allowed to like push all the dirt around, but no dirt comes in and no dirt goes out because of the cost to do that. So it's a little bit complicated in that respect, but let's simplify it. I'm going to do the whole exercise with two polylines. I know it sounds crazy, but get ready. So here we go. So I've got the outline of the area that they want to be disturbed. In other words, the regrading is going to happen inside this red line here. So the first thing I did is I kind of grabbed that line and I said, okay, well, I'm going to suck this thing up to grade. And I'm going to go to edit elevations, elevations from surface. I'm going to pick my existing topography. I'm going to leave this insert intermediate on. I'm going to accept that. Then I'm going to pick this line. Going to enter on that guy. And now that is up and touching every tin line on that existing surface, right? That's the key here. Okay, give it a second here to think about it. Okay. And then what I did is I just literally took and made a surface with that one polyline. So I called it reclaim slope unedited. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on so you can see it now. Okay, AutoCAD has to think a minute. This is when you enjoy the day, right? When it's thinking, okay, let's look at the surface properties. Let's go to the definition. So I literally just added that break line, that outside break line in there. It's a 3D polyline is what it is. I accepted that in there and then said, let's contour and just see what it does. And what it's going to do, it literally grades high to low, just straight across the whole thing from every single point on that 3D polyline around that edge. And so really what you've done is you kind of pushed away all of that junk that was built in there, right? So then what I did is I made two profiles, an alignment here and an alignment here. You can see that. And I dropped them in over here. And so this is my existing here. And this is my new one that I just created. And you can tell it's pretty rough, right? Because it doesn't know what to do in between, but it gave it a pretty good shot. And then down here, the same thing. Boy, you could tell it's just straight as an arrow, right? Top to bottom, like I said. But, you're after a volume now of that's step one. I'm tired already. Gosh, we've done a lot. But now the cut and fill balance, that's where it gets trickier, right? So I created the volume surface. We'll go over here and look at my volume surface. And I compared the two, right? It's just a volume tin surface created. And I used the existing versus the unedited slope that I have shown there. And we'll look at it. And I'm way, way more cut than fill. It's just not even close to balanced, right? It's like this won't work. So I understand that. I get it. I knew it was going to be kind of like that. Most of the time, I can get pretty darn close with grading out. But this one they've got so much stuff going on. It won't cut and fill balance just with doing that. So I have to sit back and look at it. And Well, I used my profiles to do this because I said, okay, well, I could tell I've got a ton more cut than fill. I need to kind of raise it up a little bit. So I kind of got to studying this a little bit, and I looked out here and I said, well, what about like at 3+00, maybe I need to be up around, maybe the grade needs to come up to 4554 or something like that, like right in here, and just bump this up and see. So I went out here, I looked along my alignment, I found that station at 3+00, and I said, oh, well, 54 elevation. This is my 54 elevation right out here. So I hooked a polyline on at 54 right here, made sure it hooked on to 54, and I just drug a, took a polyline with a few grip points right out across and hooked to the 54 existing out here, right? So there you go. I said, okay, well, let's use that line. Let's add that to our surface and see what happens, because I kind of want to make that a high point there. So let's drag this one out. Let's get this one out of our picture here. Okay, let's bring in now a surface that, and I will show you all it's got in here. It's got break lines. Okay. Oops, sorry, wrong one. Sorry. Oh, wait a tick. My bad. So I added that outside break line, called it daylight, and I added the one line I drew across there, period. That's all I did. Added that, right? Let's look at it. This is gonna blow your mind. Now it's beginning to look so much better. I mean, I flattened the slope out. I kind of made this a hinge point to where it breaks down here, and I've kind of raised it and made it much cleaner, right? It's not 100% yet. I mean, it's still a diamond in the rough, but let's look at it now. So that's the red line here. Now I've bumped it up, created a much nice cleaner slope coming down here. Look at this one. I mean, that's spot on, right? I can tell I'm beginning to balance this thing out just by looking at a cut versus fill here. But what happened to our volumes over here now? That's what I'm after. So now I just compared the two surfaces, my new cleaned one, my new edited one, and my existing. You see that here, existing versus reclaimed slope. Let's look at the volume. I mean, can you get any better than that? My cut and fill and balance are just, you're not even going to have a shovel's worth of dirt left over. And the way I accomplished that, I took a few minutes, and I kind of, once I drew that line across there, I knew I wasn't going to hit it like spot on. I wasn't going to circumcise a gnat with it. But I started dragging these grip points back and forth just a little bit on my polyline, just started dragging them a little bit. And I'm getting, then I started working in and looking at my cut and fill balances, because the minute you move these grip points on this, you're going to either increase cut or increase fill. So that's all I did, is I started moving that around a little bit. I'm not saying I'm done, but you are like, seriously, like, I don't know, you're so much further along than any other method that I could have used. You could have tried any other method, but you would have been goofing around a lot. Now I would probably go in and start, just adding a polylines, hook on, and kind of put nice smooth polylines across here that represent the contours, and hooking on to the existing ones, and add that to the surface and really smooth this out. Once you do, your volume is going to change a little bit, but so what? It's like you go back, you just grab grip points on a couple of your polylines and move them back and forth a little bit, and you'll start dialing in. You'll get a feel for it once you do it. I hope you appreciated this video. I did a full grading plan with 2 polylines. Check it out. Catch you later. Peace out.